the decision has been a surprise as well as not a surprise. For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK. The only time that I've come back to the UK is sadly for funerals or court cases, with the odd charitable function where I can in between that. I put myself at risk.
This just blew up the royal family. 1 minute ago, reports exploded claiming Prince William has finally confirmed the existence of the infamous Saudi dossier, a file so sensitive it was never meant to see daylight. And Prince Harry? Insiders say he is livid. If this is true, it changes everything we thought we knew about the royal fallout. Secrets, lies, and a betrayal that cuts deeper than ever before.
Over the last week, I've seen firsthand that your global commitment to environmental progress is not new. It's built on decades of bold action, visionary thinking, and shared purpose. From the Rio Earth Summit in 1992 to Brazil rapidly becoming a leader in renewable energy and sustainable agriculture, you have shown the world what climate ambition looks like.
In the past few hours, online discussion around the British royal family has intensified again, driven by claims circulating on social media and commentary platforms about what has been described as a Saudi dossier and Prince William's alleged acknowledgement of its existence. Before going any further, it is important to be precise about what is confirmed, what is reported by established outlets, and what remains unverified or disputed. The royal family's recent history shows how quickly speculation can grow when silence, legal action, and strained family relationships overlap. As of now, no official palace statement has been released in which Prince William publicly confirms the existence of a document formerly referred to as a Saudi dossier. Major British and American news organizations have not published any report stating that Prince William has authenticated such a file. What has been confirmed by multiple outlets, however, is that tensions between Prince William and Prince Harry remain unresolved, and that both brothers are currently operating in very different public and institutional roles. William is increasingly acting as a senior figure shaping the monarchy's future, while Harry continues to engage in legal battles and public commentary that challenge media practices and, indirectly, royal family norms. Recent reporting from British broadcasters and international newspapers shows that Prince William is preparing for a high-profile overseas visit connected to diplomatic and charitable interests, including engagement with Middle Eastern partners. These visits are typically organised in coordination with the UK government and focus on environmental projects, youth initiatives, and regional stability. Coverage of these preparations has been factual and restrained, but the timing has fueled speculation online, especially among commentators who link any Middle East engagement to broader geopolitical narratives. At the same time, Prince Harry has been in the public eye for very different reasons. He has appeared in court in London as part of an ongoing case involving allegations of unlawful information gathering by sections of the British press. Court reporting from established newspapers describes Harry as emotional but controlled, speaking at length about the impact of media intrusion on his life and his marriage. In those proceedings, references were made to the strain between him and other members of the royal family, including Prince William. These references were not new revelations, but part of a longer pattern that has been documented since the release of Harry's memoir and previous interviews. This backdrop matters because it explains why claims about a Saudi dossier have found such a receptive audience. There is already a documented rift, a history of distrust, and a sense among many observers that critical conversations are happening behind closed doors. When information is scarce, people fill in the gaps. Analysts who study royal communications often point out that the monarchy's preference for limited comment can unintentionally encourage speculation, particularly in the digital age. Several commentators have pointed to recent remarks made by Prince William during controlled engagements, where he has spoken about transparency, safeguarding the institution, and learning from past mistakes. These comments were reported by mainstream outlets as part of broader discussions about the monarchy's future direction, not as confirmations of specific intelligence files or allegations involving foreign governments. Still, selective quoting and shortened clips have circulated online, sometimes stripped of context and presented as something more dramatic than what was actually said. According to royal correspondents at the BBC and other major networks, William's public language has become more direct over the past year, especially when addressing trust, accountability, and the long-term stability of the Crown. This shift is widely interpreted as a response to years of reputational damage caused by internal disputes, legal controversies, and ongoing media scrutiny. None of these correspondents have reported William acknowledging a classified dossier linked to Saudi Arabia or any other state. On the question of Prince Harry's reaction, reporting remains cautious. Sources close to Harry, speaking to American magazines and British tabloids, describe him as deeply frustrated with what he sees as selective briefings and a lack of private resolution. However, these descriptions come from unnamed sources and are presented as insight into Harry's state of mind, not as direct quotes or verified reactions to a specific document. There has been no confirmed statement from Harry addressing a Saudi dossier or responding to any supposed confirmation by his brother. It is also worth noting how the term dossier is being used. In official contexts, dossiers typically refer to compiled intelligence or formal reports prepared by security services. No evidence has been presented publicly to show that such a document exists in relation to Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, or royal family members' personal relationships. Royal historians and former palace staff interviewed by mainstream outlets consistently stress that security vetting is routine and confidential, and that its contents are not shared publicly. What is verifiable is that the royal household has dealt with several sensitive issues involving foreign connections over the past decade. These include charitable donations, business links, and diplomatic relationships, all of which have been scrutinized by parliamentary committees and investigative journalists. Coverage of these matters has relied on documented evidence and official records, not anonymous claims of secret files. When concerns have been raised, they have usually been addressed through formal reviews rather than personal statements by senior royals. Media analysts in both the UK and the US have observed that stories framed around "just confirmed" or "minutes ago" language are designed to create urgency, even when no new information has actually emerged. This style is common on video platforms and social media, where algorithms reward engagement and emotional response. The gap between that presentation and the slower, more cautious reporting of established outlets is often where confusion arises. From a factual standpoint, the only confirmed elements at this moment are these. Prince William is taking on a more prominent leadership role within the monarchy. Prince Harry remains estranged and involved in ongoing legal action, and public interest in royal transparency and accountability remains high. Everything beyond that, including claims of a confirmed Saudi dossier and Harry's alleged fury in response to it, falls into the category of speculation unless supported by verifiable evidence. Several royal commentators have warned against conflating diplomatic engagement with intelligence controversy. Saudi Arabia, like many countries, maintains formal relationships with the UK at governmental and institutional levels. Senior royals regularly interact with representatives from a wide range of nations as part of their duties. These interactions are documented and, in many cases, publicly announced. Suggesting that such engagements automatically point to secret intelligence matters oversimplifies how diplomacy actually works. In recent interviews, constitutional experts have emphasized that Prince William does not have independent authority to confirm or declassify intelligence information, even if he were aware of it. Such decisions fall under government jurisdiction and are bound by law. This point is often missing from online narratives that portray royal figures as acting unilaterally in matters of national security. As this story continues to circulate, the contrast between confirmed reporting and online amplification is becoming clearer. Established news organizations are focusing on court proceedings, official visits, and the broader evolution of the monarchy. Social media discussions, meanwhile, are layering dramatic interpretations onto those facts, sometimes presenting opinion as confirmation. For viewers trying to make sense of the situation, the key takeaway from this first part is restraint. There is no confirmed announcement from Prince William validating a Saudi-linked dossier. There is no verified public reaction from Prince Harry to such a confirmation. What exists instead is a tense family dynamic, ongoing legal disputes, and a climate where speculation thrives. Understanding that distinction matters because it sets the foundation for everything that follows. Without separating fact from assumption, it becomes easy to misread ordinary diplomatic language as secret admission or ongoing family conflict as proof of hidden documents. In the next stage of this discussion, the focus shifts to how these narratives take shape, why certain claims gain traction, and how silence from official channels can be interpreted in very different ways depending on the audience. As the discussion moves beyond the initial claims and reactions, attention naturally turns to what people online are calling the Saudi dossier itself. This is where it becomes especially important to slow down and separate established procedures from assumptions and documented reporting from narrative speculation. Much of what is being discussed under that label draws on a mix of real-world security practices, selective reporting, and conjecture that has not been supported by public evidence. In verified reporting, it is well established that anyone who marries into the British royal family undergoes a form of background vetting. This is not unusual and is not unique to the monarchy. Similar checks exist for individuals who marry into other high-profile political or diplomatic families and for those who take on roles with access to sensitive information. Former palace officials and constitutional experts have repeatedly explained that this process is primarily about risk assessment. It looks at publicly available records, financial history, and potential vulnerabilities that could expose the institution to reputational or security issues. What is not confirmed, according to major British and American news outlets, is the existence of a single named intelligence file referred to internally or externally as a Saudi dossier, relating to Prince Harry or his wife. No such document has been quoted, leaked, or authenticated by reputable journalists. Intelligence agencies in the UK do not comment on internal assessments, and senior royals do not publicly reference classified material. This has been consistently stated by royal correspondents at the BBC and other mainstream broadcasters. Despite this, online commentary often fills in the gaps by drawing on broader geopolitical realities. Saudi Arabia is frequently mentioned because of its prominence in global politics, business, and diplomacy, and because of the UK's long-standing relationship with the country. Reporting over the years has examined Saudi-linked investments, charitable donations, and diplomatic ties involving British institutions, including cultural and sporting organisations. These reports are based on financial disclosures, parliamentary inquiries, and investigative journalism, not anonymous claims about secret personal files. The leap from those documented relationships to a personalised dossier narrative is where fact and speculation diverge. Media analysts have pointed out that the word dossier carries a sense of secrecy and authority that makes it attractive for dramatic storytelling. It implies a hidden truth waiting to be revealed, even when no concrete evidence is presented. In reality, intelligence assessments are often fragmented, technical, and heavily contextual, rather than the neat, all-encompassing files imagined in online discussions. Some commentators have attempted to connect this idea to Prince William's recent emphasis on safeguarding the monarchy. In interviews and speeches reported by established outlets, William has spoken about learning from past crises, modernising the institution, and ensuring that future generations can trust it. These remarks were general in nature and aligned with long-term strategic planning, not with specific allegations involving foreign states or family members. There has been no reporting that he referenced Saudi Arabia or any intelligence material in these contexts. Another factor driving the dossier narrative is Prince Harry's own language in recent years. In interviews, documentaries, and his memoir, he has described feeling targeted, misunderstood, and inadequately protected by the institution. He has also expressed concern about how information is gathered, shared, and sometimes used against individuals. These statements are on the public record and have been widely reported. However, they reflect Harry's personal perspective rather than confirmation of any particular intelligence assessment. Court reporting from Harry's ongoing legal case in London provides further context. Journalists covering the proceedings have noted that the case focuses on alleged unlawful information gathering by parts of the media, not by intelligence agencies. Harry's testimony, as summarised by reputable newspapers, centres on phone hacking, surveillance, and the emotional toll of press intrusion. There has been no mention in court of a Saudi-linked file or state-sponsored monitoring. Experts in media literacy caution that when separate issues overlap in time, they are often merged into a single narrative online. Diplomatic visits, legal disputes, family estrangement, and historical controversies can all be woven together to suggest a hidden connection, even when none has been demonstrated. This process is amplified by short-form video platforms. where context is often sacrificed for impact. It is also important to understand how information flows within the royal household. According to former aides interviewed over the years, sensitive assessments are shared on a strictly need-to-know basis. Senior members may be briefed on general risks, but they do not typically receive raw intelligence files. Decisions about security and vetting involve professional staff and government agencies, not personal judgment alone. This makes the idea of a single, senior royal independently confirming a specific dossier highly unlikely based on how the system actually operates. The role of anonymous sources deserves careful scrutiny as well. While unnamed sources can sometimes provide valuable insight, especially in sensitive areas, reputable outlets apply strict standards before publishing such claims. To date, no major outlet has published a report citing multiple independent sources confirming the existence of a Saudi dossier related to Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. Where unnamed sources are quoted, they tend to speak in general terms about family tensions or institutional concerns, not specific intelligence documents. Royal historians have also weighed in on the broader pattern. They note that periods of transition within the monarchy often produce heightened suspicion and storytelling. As Prince William prepares for greater responsibility, and as Prince Harry continues to live outside the institution, differences in approach become more visible. This can lead observers to assume there must be a hidden catalyst, when the reality may simply be diverging priorities and unresolved personal conflict. The international dimension adds another layer. Coverage of UK-Saudi relations is extensive and ongoing, particularly in relation to trade, defence and cultural exchange. These discussions take place at governmental level and are subject to parliamentary oversight. When royals are involved, their roles are ceremonial and supportive, not directive. Analysts repeatedly stress that conflating these formal engagements with personal intelligence assessments misunderstands both diplomacy and constitutional boundaries. For audiences trying to evaluate the dossier claims, one useful approach is to ask a simple question: what new, verifiable information has actually emerged? So far, the answer is very little. There has been no leaked document, no authenticated quotation, and no on-the-record confirmation from an accountable authority. What has emerged instead is a surge in commentary, often referencing earlier controversies and framing them as newly revealed evidence. This does not mean that all concerns raised online are invented, but it does mean they remain unproven. Responsible reporting distinguishes between questions that can be asked and claims that can be asserted. At this stage, the existence, contents, and significance of a so-called Saudi dossier fall firmly into the category of unverified claims. Understanding this distinction is essential before moving on to the next phase of the story. The power of the dossier narrative lies less in what has been confirmed and more in what people believe it represents: secrecy, influence, and a lack of trust within one of the world's most scrutinized families. How those beliefs form and how they shape public reaction is the next piece of the puzzle. As the narrative develops further, the focus shifts from the question of whether a so-called dossier exists to how the institution itself reacts when claims like these begin to dominate public conversation. This stage is less about any single document and more about behavior, language, and institutional signals. It is also where Prince William's role becomes central, not as a source of confirmation, but as a figure whose actions and tone are closely analysed for meaning. In recent months, multiple established outlets in the UK and the US have reported that Prince William is increasingly visible in shaping the public face of the monarchy. This has included delivering speeches, supporting policy-adjacent initiatives, such as environmental projects, and engaging with international partners on behalf of the Crown. Royal correspondents note that this shift is expected as part of a long-term transition rather than a reaction to any single controversy. However, in an environment already charged with suspicion and unresolved family conflict, even routine statements can take on outsized significance. What has been confirmed is that William's communication style differs from that of previous generations. He tends to speak more directly about trust, accountability, and institutional resilience. According to commentators quoted by major broadcasters, this approach reflects lessons learned from past crises involving the royal family, including media scandals and internal disputes that damaged public confidence. These remarks are typically framed in general terms, without naming individuals or referring to classified matters. Despite that restraint, some online narratives have portrayed William's recent language as implicit confirmation of hidden issues. This interpretation often relies on reading between the lines, assuming that phrases about protecting the institution or addressing vulnerabilities must point to specific intelligence concerns. Media analysts caution that this is a common pattern when audiences are primed to expect revelation. Ordinary. Governance language is reinterpreted as coded messaging, even when no evidence supports that reading. From an institutional perspective, the palace's response to heightened speculation has followed a familiar pattern. Official spokespeople either decline to comment or issue brief statements clarifying procedural facts without engaging with allegations. This approach has been widely reported and criticized in equal measure. Supporters argue that silence prevents the amplification of unfounded claims. Critics counter that it leaves space for speculation to grow unchecked. Both positions have been discussed extensively in opinion columns and expert interviews. Legal considerations also play a significant role in shaping this response. Constitutional lawyers interviewed by mainstream outlets have pointed out that the royal household must be careful not to comment on matters that could intersect with ongoing legal proceedings or diplomatic relationships. Prince Harry's court case in London is a clear example. Any statement that could be interpreted as prejudging facts or disclosing confidential processes could have legal consequences. This constraint limits how directly senior royals can address rumours, even if they wanted to. Prince Harry's situation adds emotional weight to this phase of the story. Reporting from the courtroom describes him as determined to challenge what he sees as systemic wrongdoing by parts of the media. His testimony has been covered in detail by reputable newspapers, which note his emphasis on personal impact rather than institutional critique. Still, references to his relationship with his family inevitably surface, reinforcing the sense of a deep and ongoing divide. Sources close to the palace, quoted cautiously by major publications, describe the current relationship between William and Harry as distant and formal at best. There is no indication of regular private communication, and reconciliation is generally portrayed as unlikely in the near term. This context helps explain why claims about William confirming sensitive information resonate emotionally. For some audiences, such claims fit an existing narrative of betrayal and confrontation, even if they are not supported by evidence. International reaction further complicates matters. When stories involving the British royal family circulate globally, they are filtered through different media cultures. In the US, coverage often focuses on personal conflict and emotional stakes. In the UK, reporting tends to emphasize constitutional roles and institutional continuity. In other regions, the monarchy is viewed primarily through a geopolitical lens. This diversity of perspectives can make a single claim appear more substantiated than it actually is, simply because it is repeated in different contexts. Diplomatic reporting provides an instructive contrast. Coverage of Prince William's upcoming overseas engagements, including those involving Middle Eastern countries, is factual and procedural. These visits are framed as part of the UK's broader diplomatic strategy, coordinated with government departments and focused on long-term partnerships. No reputable outlet has linked these engagements to intelligence disclosures or personal family disputes. Experts in foreign policy have stressed that such visits should not be read as endorsements or revelations, but as routine aspects of international relations. Within the palace, the management of narrative risk is an ongoing challenge. Former aides have explained in interviews that crisis planning is a constant feature of royal operations. Scenarios are discussed in advance, responses are drafted, and legal advice is sought before any public move is made. This does not mean that every rumor triggers panic, but it does mean that leadership is alert to how quickly misinformation can spread. William's role in this process is increasingly visible, but always within the boundaries of established protocol. The idea that Prince William would independently confirm the existence of a sensitive intelligence file runs counter to what is known about these protocols. As constitutional experts have repeatedly stated, intelligence matters are controlled by government bodies, not individual members of the royal family. Even the monarch operates within strict limits when it comes to classified information. This reality is often overlooked in online discussions that attribute far-reaching authority to senior royals. At the same time, it would be misleading to suggest that nothing has changed. The tone of royal communication has evolved, and William's emphasis on responsibility and future-facing reform is widely recognized. Analysts interpret this as an attempt to stabilize the institution amid ongoing scrutiny. In that sense, his public presence is a response to the environment, not to a specific dossier. The distinction is subtle but important. Public reaction to this phase of the story reflects broader trends in trust and media consumption. Polling data cited by UK research organisations shows that younger audiences are more sceptical of institutional silence, while older audiences are more likely to accept it as appropriate. This divide influences how claims about confirmation or denial are received, where one group sees careful restraint, another sees avoidance. As the speculation continues, the role of responsible reporting becomes more significant. Established outlets have largely resisted framing William's actions as confirmation of hidden documents, instead reiterating what can and cannot be verified. They have highlighted the lack of new evidence and the reliance on interpretation rather than disclosure. This approach contrasts sharply with commentary-driven platforms, where interpretation often becomes the story. By this point in the narrative, the situation is less about uncovering a single truth and more about understanding how narratives form under pressure. The combination of family estrangement, legal conflict, diplomatic activity, and evolving leadership creates a complex backdrop. Claims about confirmation and fury draw their power from that complexity, not from independently verified facts. This phase sets the stage for the final consequences, whatever they may be. Whether the story fades, transforms, or escalates will depend less on the existence of a dossier and more on how the institution, the media, and the public continue to interact. What remains clear is that the monarchy is operating in a climate where perception moves quickly, and where silence, speech, and timing all carry weight beyond their immediate content. As this discussion reaches its final stage, the focus turns away from documents, statements, and institutional behavior and toward consequences. This is where public interpretation, long-term impact, and unresolved tension come into play. Regardless of whether the claims circulating online are ultimately substantiated or fade away, they are already influencing how people view the royal family, particularly the relationship between Prince William and Prince Harry. One of the most consistent themes in recent coverage is permanence. Royal commentators writing for established British newspapers have noted that the relationship between the two brothers appears to have moved beyond temporary disagreement into something more fixed. This assessment is not based on any single incident, but on years of accumulated distance, missed opportunities for reconciliation, and fundamentally different views about privacy, duty, and public accountability. Against that backdrop, any rumour suggesting confirmation of sensitive information is interpreted as another step toward an irreversible divide. Prince Harry's public posture in recent months provides important context here. Reporting from his court appearances in London describes someone who feels compelled to speak because he believes silence enables harm. His statements, as summarised by journalists in the courtroom, focus on emotional damage, personal safety, and the belief that systems failed to protect him and his family. While these remarks are aimed primarily at media organisations, they inevitably cast a shadow over the institution he left behind. For many observers, this reinforces the idea that Harry sees truth-telling as a moral obligation, even when it comes at personal cost. At the same time, Prince William's approach has been almost the inverse. Coverage of his recent activities shows a deliberate effort to project steadiness, continuity, and confidence in the institution. His language, as reported by mainstream outlets, avoids personal grievance and focuses instead on responsibility and future planning. Analysts often describe this as a strategy designed to reassure the public and international partners that the monarchy remains stable despite internal challenges. This difference in approach between the brothers is central to how the current narrative is being interpreted. Public reaction reflects this split. Polling cited by British research organisations indicates that opinions about the royal family are increasingly polarised along lines of age, geography, and media consumption habits. Some audiences sympathise strongly with Harry, viewing him as someone who broke away to protect his family and speak openly about perceived injustice. Others align more closely with William, seeing his restraint as necessary for preserving an institution that exists above individual emotion. claims about dossiers and confirmations tend to be filtered through these existing loyalties. Social media data reinforces this point. Analysts tracking online engagement note that stories framed around urgency and revelation spread fastest among users who already distrust traditional institutions. In these spaces, the absence of official confirmation is sometimes treated as proof that something is being hidden. Conversely, audiences who rely more heavily on established news outlets are more likely to wait for verification before drawing conclusions. This divergence means that the same set of facts can produce very different interpretations. Another important aspect of the fallout is international perception. The British monarchy remains a global symbol, and stories about internal conflict are closely watched abroad. Foreign media coverage often places less emphasis on constitutional nuance and more on personal drama, which can amplify the sense of crisis. Diplomatic analysts have pointed out that while such coverage may not affect formal relations, it does shape soft power by influencing how the UK is perceived culturally and politically. Within the UK, constitutional experts stress that the monarchy's resilience has always depended on its ability to adapt without appearing reactive. Historically, moments of intense scrutiny have been followed by periods of recalibration rather than abrupt change. Examples often cited include reforms to royal finances, adjustments to public roles, and changes in media engagement strategies. Whether the current situation will lead to similar outcomes remains an open question, but few expect dramatic, immediate shifts based on unverified claims alone. What is already evident, however, is the cumulative effect of ongoing controversy. Even when specific allegations are not proven, repeated exposure to narratives of secrecy and conflict can erode trust over time. This is a point raised by several media scholars who argue that institutions are judged not only by facts, but by how convincingly they communicate values like transparency and accountability. In this sense, the impact of the dossier narrative may lie less in its truth and more in how it resonates with broader concerns. For Prince Harry, the long-term implications are deeply personal. Commentators note that continued public conflict makes reconciliation more difficult, regardless of intent. Every new story, whether accurate or not, adds another layer of history that must be overcome. Sources close to Harry, quoted cautiously in reputable outlets, suggest that he is focused on legal outcomes and personal stability rather than repairing family ties. If that is the case, the emotional distance between the brothers may continue to widen. For Prince William, the challenge is institutional. As his public role expands, so does the expectation that he will manage not just ceremonial duties, but reputational risk. Royal analysts point out that future kings are judged heavily on how they handle crises before they ascend the throne. William's measured response to speculation may be part of a broader effort to establish a pattern of leadership defined by consistency rather than confrontation. The question many observers are now asking is what happens next? Will there be a definitive statement that puts these rumors to rest? Or will the palace continue to rely on silence and selective clarification? Past experience suggests the latter. Historically, the royal household has been reluctant to engage directly with speculative narratives, especially when doing so could legitimize them. This strategy has had mixed results, succeeding in some cases and failing in others. There is also the possibility that attention will simply move on. Media cycles are fast, and stories that seem dominant one week can be replaced the next by entirely different concerns. Legal developments, international events, or new cultural controversies could shift focus away from the current debate. If that happens, the dossier narrative may settle into the background, resurfacing occasionally but losing its sense of urgency. Still, even if public attention fades, the underlying issues remain. Trust between the brothers appears damaged, and differing philosophies about openness and duty continue to shape their actions. These differences are likely to influence the monarchy's evolution over the coming years, particularly as generational change accelerates. In assessing this final stage, it is worth returning to what is actually known. There has been no verified confirmation of a Saudi-linked dossier by Prince William. There has been no on-the-record expression of fury from Prince Harry in response to such a confirmation. What exists instead is a convergence of strained relationships, high-profile legal action, diplomatic activity, and a media environment that rewards dramatic framing. Understanding that convergence is crucial. It allows observers to recognize why certain stories gain traction without assuming they are true. It also highlights the importance of patience and critical thinking when evaluating claims about powerful institutions. In the absence of clear evidence, the most responsible position remains one of caution. As things stand, the monarchy is navigating a period of sustained scrutiny rather than a single explosive revelation. How effectively it manages that scrutiny will shape public confidence far more than any unverified document. For viewers and readers alike, the challenge is to stay grounded in confirmed information while remaining aware of how narratives are constructed. The broader lesson may be that in an age of constant connectivity, silence speaks loudly, but not always accurately. The gap between what is known and what is believed can grow quickly, especially when emotional history fills the space. Whether that gap eventually narrows will depend on choices made by individuals, institutions, and the media alike.